think the next big thing would be to rethink all these processes and really think about what process would work for the AI if there's no human in the loop.
Sebastian, agentic has been everywhere this year, but how do you separate, the word, the idea, the hype from what's actually happening?
Agentic AI is like just a buzzword in the end. It's coming down to a lot of single tasks that AIs can easily solve, and they're still having problems with them with the more complex issues. So I think, we really need to break it down to single agents and multitask agents, and discuss a bit more about that.
So I think agentic AI has become a bit like too big of a term in itself, right? I think it started with it's AI LLMs that can take actions, right? But then it's where do you allow them to take actions, and all of these things are the harder thing, right? So I think for us, it's more thinking about what is the scope that an agent should have, right? Should they be working at a role based, or is it something specific at a task based? So for example, a role would be like you take over a whole sales function, right? And that's very hard, right? Because sales do so many people. Like they receive contracts, they prepare proposals, they have calls, they have follow-ups, they need to talk to their sales leader, they need to build pipelines, and all of these different tasks are very, very hard for one single agent to do. But if you actually break it down into, hey, there's going to be a bunch of different agents, one for every single task, then you start performing much, much better at all of these levels. And so I think the challenge for the organizations, and where the hype meets impact, is identifying which out of these tasks should you prioritize, and which ones actually are not worth it, right? And you still need a human to take a decision. You still need a human to be that conduit with the external organization, and that's where you really need to figure out where is it that you draw the line on what are you going to automate.
So you need that human to be that conduit, to make that decision. What do you think is the next big unlock for AI?
Yeah, so I think right now we are really talking about automating single tasks, and we are trying to automate processes that were meant for humans, right? But I think the next big thing would be to rethink all these processes and really think about what process would work for the AI if there's no human in the loop.
What about you in terms of that big unlock for AI?
I think there's several steps to it, right? One of them is, how do we make sure that it has all the context that a human has, right? So for example, something that a lot of organizations are still not doing is having AI joining their meetings, right? So because everything that is on your computer, right, like any PowerPoint, any Excel, and so on, it's data that you can actually deal with. But what's happening on meetings, the conversations that humans are having and so on, are not getting captured. And there is so much valuable information there, right? So I think the first step is actually making sure that you structure data that is currently not even captured, right? So it's not even, okay, unstructured data, let's structure it. We need to start capturing the data in an unstructured manner, and then structure it. And then once you start having that, you start really having a lot more context about what's going on in your organization and all of these things. And then you really can make the agents much more knowledgeable and actually take the actions that are currently missing. So I'd say the first thing is really, how do you generate much more data around your organization, and how do you capture it? And then where it gets to, I really think about I, for example, right now, I am the biggest bottleneck in my organization. And so the decisions that come all the way to me are the ones that no one else feels they can take by themselves, right? And therefore, I got a bunch of decisions, and I might not always available, right? You're sometimes in meetings and so on, and so you can't give that quick answer to everyone. But the more I record myself, the more data I give to my AI agents, the more I feel hey, actually it can take a pretty good guess at what it is. It can prepare an answer to whomever I need to respond to. And so it ends up being me much more being on an editor, reviewer mode, right? It's hey, my AI came up with an answer. Do I like it? Yes, approve, right? And send it. Or does it not like it? And I just give it a little bit of input so that it changes, and then I can send it. But it's I don't have that blank page moment anymore where I'm okay, let me think about it. Let me start something from scratch. That's not happening anymore. There's a lot of information that's not useful, but the LLMs are so good at highlighting what is key information that is good, and it should be part of your personal knowledge, your role knowledge, or even your organizational knowledge. and who should it be shared with is something that actually we're really interested in, and we're working on quite a bit.
Thank you so much.